of Local to Global, the podcast from the well in Rosemount, Minnesota. And we're on episode 7 already. I'm Tammy, the communications director at the well. And today I'm joined by a longtime member, Mr. Jim Dibley. Good morning, Jim. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, we're doing pretty well over here. So, Jim, you've been a part of the well for quite some time, and I've been at the well for about 9-10 years now. And I think the Dibleys were about the first name that I heard when we were there. So I think you guys have done quite a bit with the well. Can you just give us a brief history on your involvement and what one of your favorite ministries are?
Well, Dawn's family moved to Rosemount in 1971, and they picked this church because they had the biggest organ. They were peeking in the windows, and she was an organist. And anyway, after a few years, she became the full-time organist after we were married. So I have been going here since 1978, so 43 years-ish, something like that. So, and I've been on pretty much every committee except staff parish, because I had an excuse because my wife was on the staff. So
you're like, nope, I'm sort of part of that. We're good.
yeah.
That's awesome.
So, but yeah, we're involved in a lot of things. I do new members. I really enjoy that. That's my favorite job. But I mow the lawn. I love that zero turn mower. It's so fun.
I bet that's awesome.
Yeah. So I try to help out wherever I can.
That's awesome. So you welcome new members, and that's one of your favorite ministries. So what do you do for welcoming new members to the well?
Well, on the third Sunday of the month prior to COVID, Dawn and I would stand by a sign that said "New here," and people would come up and we could answer questions, give them some information if they wanted it. We'd offer tours of the building, which we should really do for longtime members that go, oh, I never knew this was here, and stuff like that. But and then 3 to 4 times a year, depending on how many people are interested, we have 1 or 2 session. I hesitate to call it a class because it's just a orientation session called Welcome to the Well, and people can ask questions and mostly get to know other new folks. And then if they choose to join, we give them information on that. And then a couple weeks after Welcome to the Well, we welcome new members, have them stand up in front, take the vows of membership, which can be a very meaningful but short ceremony.
Yeah.
I don't want to scare people away. We don't make you talk. Right?
No, I went through it, and it was just fine. I'm kind of an introverted person myself, not really ever wanting to be up on that stage. And so, I was prepared for it. We walked up there, we did our thing and walked back down. It was actually a really great, our church feels like a big community of, loving people. And so it absolutely you were not put on showcase at all. So for anybody who is interested, it's definitely not something that should be a scary situation. So why we're here today on the Local to Global podcast is something that we do locally in the community that I just learned of, actually. And a little birdie at church told me that Jim Dibley goes to Aldi's every Tuesday and picks up food. Now, can you let us know a little bit more about that? Like, I have never heard about any of this. And I have always wondered myself, like, what do grocery stores do with the food? I think Cub Food sends some of their food up to our Rosemount Family Resource Center. But beyond that, I haven't heard anything about this. And I don't think it's something that a lot of people really know about. So can you elaborate on what you do?
Well, I actually started... my father-in-law, Marshall McKenzie, started picking up leftover food at Leanne Chin in Apple Valley.
Oh.
And he and Dale Thieleman did this together. They would alternate weeks, and they would bring the food back to the Rosemount Family Resource Center. And Marshall always said there were people lined up at the door waiting to get it because they just love that stuff. But
Mm.
anyway, um, there was a problem with allergy labeling on that stuff because they would just throw all of their leftovers into a big pan and then stick it in the freezer. And so you wouldn't know, one pan might be all rice, the next one's spicy chicken, you didn't know
Yeah,
what was in there. So they tried to work with them and really couldn't work out a way to label that for people. So they had to discontinue.
sure.
So anyway, then um, by this time I had taken over that job from Marshall. He passed away in 2016, and Sherry Christian was in charge of that program for our church, and she asked me if I would do that. So I did that for a while, and then that ended, and the lady at the food shelf said, "Well, we could use somebody to pick up food at Quick Trip in Rosemount." And so Dale Thieleman and I started picking up food there every Thursday and bringing it back. And then I got an email. I think it was probably in January of this year that they were looking for someone to pick up food at the Rosemount Aldi. And so I started doing that. And then um, I feel a little guilty about this, but Monday's kind of my golf day. And I said, this isn't going to work for me all summer. And they said, well, what about Tuesdays? Tuesdays we get from the Aldi in Apple Valley. So I started doing that, and I got Steve Olson to help me. He's my partner, my backup guy. And so we hop in the 360 van on Tuesday mornings, go over to Apple Valley Aldi, pick up the food they have, bring it back to the Rosemount food shelf. And, that's
Wow.
kind of a long story, but
That's no, I love it. No, I love the history of it. What kind of food like do you pick up? Is it does it have to be expired? Does it have to be, what food do they have that they can't sell in their stores?
a lot of it is packaging that's been torn, or you know the the people that make Arnie Palmer, what do you call that stuff, the lemonade and the iced tea mix, they
Yeah.
need to work on their glue machine because every week there's a couple of 12 packs of that stuff. And anyway, it's mostly food that's either close to expiring, or um, stuff that they can't sell in the store anymore, produce that's close to being, bananas that are starting to turn brown, things like that. And it varies from week to week. One week they had been close to running out of bread, and they ordered bread, and the bakery doubled their order by mistake. So we had 300 pounds of bread that week.
Wow.
We've had, 250 pounds of frozen meat that was close to the expiration date. And, as long as it's frozen,
Yeah. Fine.
it keeps forever, but
Yeah.
the sell by date is coming close, so they can't sell it anymore.
Yep.
So it varies on what we pick up, which brings up a point, for people that are donating to the food shelf. They don't know from week to week. They get food from the Cub in Rosemount, from Aldi in Rosemount, from Apple Valley Aldi, from the Quick Trips. There's several stores that all donate to the Rosemount food shelf, and you don't know what they're going to get. And so one week they may have tons of bread and no meat, and so I've come to find out that donating money to them instead of food, it's a lot more efficient. They can get what they want, and they have access to food where they pay pennies on the dollar for stuff,
Yeah, I've heard
and they
that.
can get exactly what they want to fill the shelves for what people need.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I've heard that before. It was I was listening to a radio. I think it was right as COVID started happening last year and food shelves really needed help. There was a guy who was stating that they have better connections on getting food and making your dollars stretch further than you just going purchasing food.
Oh, yeah,
So
that's
I
for
thought
sure.
that was really interesting. I mean, we all love to go grab the food and be like, okay, they need the staples. We want to fill this, and we want to make it happen now. And that's still good. But in the long run, if they have maybe a monthly donation or even a 6-month donation that you can give, they can absolutely stretch that further. And then they can get like hygiene products and stuff too, because I know that the resource center says even, you know, things like that people don't typically think of hygiene products for women or for men, showering items and stuff like that. They also need those as well.
Mhm, yeah.
Do you still do the quick trip pickup or is it just Aldi's on Tuesday?
Yeah, I do the quick trip also. Today they didn't have anything, but she said come back in a couple days. So evidently
Okay.
they've got some stuff. And then also I wanted to mention that Beth Gillison has started a group in our neighborhood. We've got a like an email chain, and ever on the first Saturday of the even months, we they go she sends out an email and they go around the neighborhood on Saturday morning and collect food and money. We've gotten a lot, like I said, more and more people are donating money instead of food.
Yeah.
But and then they take that over to the food shelf on Monday morning. And
Oh.
so
And
that's
so
kind
this
of a
is kind of
cool thing
like
that's got.
it's in your neighborhood. I know the Gillisons go to the well as well.
Yeah,
Um, so we know on the first Saturday on even months. Okay, we'll have to. I might put a note about that in our newsletter, and
yeah.
just state that you can help out this way too. I mean, our lives sometimes go so quickly. 6 months go by, and it's like, oh my gosh, I haven't done. And so when we have that reminder of someone who keeps us up to date on stuff, it's helpful because I mean, we want to
Hmm.
help. Sometimes life just flies by and we forget.
Yeah.
Um, so we're gonna wrap it up here. And
Okay.
I have a question for you, Jim, that inquiring minds want to know. What are you excited for this summer?
Um, I'm excited to give my son and daughter a hug.
Yes.
They're both vaccinated.
Oh,
My daughter's a teacher and she's still hesitant until the school year's over because she's teaching in person.
yeah.
She said her kids were so excited to get back to school. They said, we get to do math and we get to read books that we can touch. And, so she's um, just really having a good time with a good class this year. She teaches fourth grade at a charter school in Minneapolis. So I'm looking
Oh,
forward to having a couple of long hugs
yeah,
and seeing some
absolutely.
other people in my family too that I haven't seen for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely something that we've all been missing and um, have been able to get back to recently with the vaccinations and things. Hopefully, slowing down a little bit with all of this. I know the well is opening back up a little bit more, and it was helpful to have some more community of just seeing people and seeing their faces and just being in the presence, and that's amazing.
Can I
It's
say
been
just
fun.
one more thing
Yeah,
before that
absolutely.
I had in my notes here? I just want to make sure
Yeah.
the food shelf in Rosemount could use some additional volunteers to put away all the food that people like me bring in there. And there's a website where you can sign up. Um, you could do like I did, I got my buddy Steve Olson to help me, and it's like I get to see my friend once a week. It's kind of an appointment deal, but they could use people. They work Monday through Thursday, and even a couple of people would help, and you'd be like, it's like a tiny grocery store in there. You'd be putting the food in the frozen food in the freezer and the sorting out the cereal and the bread and all that stuff, and it would really be helpful for the people at the food shelf. So
Fantastic. And I will have, if you look in the description of the Local to Global podcast, you will see a link for that volunteer information so that you know when you can go in and yeah, grab a friend and go in there. They have a brand new building as of just, I think, about 2 years ago, and it's really well organized and well run. So they will keep you safe and then you'll be
mhm.
helping them out. That's a
Yeah,
great
they
idea.
got a guy in there now who was a manager for Cub Foods for 35 years. And he's a volunteer, but he kind of helps run things. So you got professional training available. I mean, it's
Love it.
kind of a good deal.
That's fantastic. Great to hear. All right, Jim, thank you so much for joining us on the Local to Global podcast. We appreciate you being here and all of the information that you have given us. So make sure you subscribe to Local to Global podcast so that you get our notifications every time we upload a new podcast on Tuesdays, and we will keep you updated on what's going around in our community and what's going on globally. So thank you. Have a great day, Jim.
Yeah, you too, Jim.